Okay, right. I was asked to create another tutorial for making lightsaber effects. Okay, and a good way to do it is to actually set up a template first. So I'm going to have a black background, which is invert a white A4 page, and rotate it. There's lots of ways of doing this, but I find a very good way is to use the rounded rectangle tool with a really high radius. So mine's at 90. So as you can see, it's really curved on the edge. Okay. What I need to do now is I need to set it to white. So if I go like this, let's do a really thin white one. Okay. Let's go. And I'm going to rasterize that so that I can blur it and move it around and do different things to it. What I could do is create a couple of different ones here. There's lots of different ways to do this, but I usually just set up a page for myself with lots of light effects on it that I can work with at different times. Okay, so this first one I'm going to blur with a Gaussian blur, but very, very slightly. Just bring it up so it just softens it out just enough. Now you can see the difference there. And we go into Layer, Style, Drop Shadow. Set to normal here. It's usually set to multiply when you start, so I set to normal. And let's say we want a red lightsaber, so I go to a red. And obviously mine is slightly customized already and ready to go, whereas when you open it first it might be. So just bring it up. You can see from the levels it's starting to look like a lightsaber. Okay. Now to add to that, I go back to Effects and I go Outer Glow. And my Outer Glow now is set to a purple, so I'll bring that up to a light red, so it adds more to the effect. Okay, so that's pretty much a basic lightsaber kind of idea. Another way I like to go from here is I have the reds done, so what I go is duplicate. I'm going to copy that layer, which is Command J, or the duplicate layer here. Okay, I'm going to duplicate the two of them again, because what happens when I combine them and turn off the other two, now I have one layer here, red lightsaber. Remember, name your layers. Red lightsaber, okay? And all of the effects that were on the other layers are now combined together to create one by me duplicating the layers together and combining them into one, flatten them to one layer so it's all the effects are one thing. So I'm going to duplicate that again and duplicate it one more time. Okay? So now I have 3 blades. So the first one will remain red, and the second one I will go to Hue Saturation and change it down to, there you go. So there's Luke's, and I'll duplicate and I'll go to the, now I've auto select on, so I'd auto select this last red one. This is now blue lightsaber. Blue lightsaber. And this last one will change to green lightsaber. Now, I know we're making lightsabers, that's kind of derivative, but you remember these light effects can be used in any way to create laser effects for any type of gun. And I find by making a set for yourself now, in the future, if you have to do a project very fast, you can just open your light effects file like this and just work really fast to create something else if needs be. So now let's go find there's a good Jedi green. Okay, turn these two off. So now I have all these set up. There's my 3 basic neon effects. They could be used for anything else, not just lightsabers. What I'd like to do as well is, if you think about it, maybe the bottom blade needs to be cut off. So if I duplicate all 3 again, bring them over here, and then all of those layers I'm going to cut the bases off them because they need to go onto other objects. So I have a cut base version as well. Okay. So that if you needed to add on any kind of mechanical object like a handle there, it's easier to blend than trying to rub this out. I could use a gradient mask on it as well, like add your mask there and go to black, fill, and do that. And there you go. There's another way to get the light to look like it's coming out of an energy, and whatever's creating the energy. Okay, so the next thing, just to create, if you want to really mess with layers, you can use copy twirls to create some different effects. So you see, you can take that duplicated version now and thin it up, almost like the lens flare that I worked on in a different file. And we can go into, and I like that, so to keep it, and we'll go duplicate, and go over here, excuse me, I turn off all other media that's making noises. And this one will go distort, wave, and bring up the amplification, and the generators. You can can't really see it there because it's quite small on the preview. It's too much. Distort, wave. It's okay. Yeah. So I've got a nice, that could be an energy blast for a Ghostbuster gun or something to that effect. But what we can do is, if I duplicate that layer again, Command J, my last filter is there, so I can keep the sorting on top of what I've already done. So Command J, and you can literally fill your page with all these kind of effects for yourself, and just make a whole template just messing with stuff like this, because it's good to have all these effects ready if you need them to do any fast work. For instance, you want to go back to doing starlight, you could go blur, motion blur, real 80s looking kind of Star Trek or sci-fi stuff. So motion blur there, blur it out. I have it set to 90 degrees, so it blurs it right out on the edge. It's too much because it's coming off the sheet now, so there. I can duplicate again. And change clockwise, so now I have a star effect. But what if I copy both of those and Command E, merge them, and transform and rotate and shrink, and now I have a really good star. Okay, so that is how you create your stock file for preparing lights and lightsaber and laser effects for yourself. And how the lightsaber now will go onto another image. I have a sample one here. So here is a guy I photographed at Comic-Con and some AJ. I'm not going to cut the green screen out of this image because there's no need. I'm just going to show you what we can do. So just prep the image a little bit. So that would be Jedi without adding too many other effects, just to show you how you can use this. So bring my red over, transform, so you can see how the fade helps it to blend through. Now that looks great, but often when I'm doing this, any layer effects that are light, I usually set to screen, and you get the proper glows because they blend in properly with the backdrop. Just remember, if you are doing any kind of lightsaber effect, there's going to be a glow that needs to go on the skin, the same as the green is reflecting off the green from my backdrop here. So what I often do when I'm finishing a piece is I'll go back with a soft light layer here, and with a soft brush of any kind, really small brush, because it's set to soft light, I would just add this, knowing that the light is going to be hitting at these points. That's a very random and not quite finished, but you get the idea. You need to work on these. Where is the light hitting the figure to get the realism? Because you can't just add a light effect to something without knowing that the light needs to bounce off the objects it's supposed to be beside or in front of or behind. Okay? So that's how you create the lightsaber.